Kaz. As many of you know, Fire Emblem is one of my favorite series. Lo and behold, today's Nintendo Direct revealed a new Fire Emblem game. Rather than just give my thoughts on what was shown, I thought I'd do something productive and break down what the debut trailer had to offer. Mainly because Nintendo's press hasn't revealed much about it. With that said, roll the clip. Kosaki Yosuke, the artist for Fire Emblem Awakening, is returning for character design, which, I have to be honest, looks better here than it did in the last game, probably because it's a little more stylized here. It definitely looks like they took a page right out of feudal Japan. I bring this up because one of the goals of this new entry is to implement greater choice and consequence for the player than ever before. As the press release stated, the new adventure adds challenges never before seen in the series and asks players to make decisions that will affect the game's world in many new ways. My guess is that, given the more samurai-esque setting, we might see the map design more like the warring clans during the Sengoku Jidai period, sort of like the Nobunaga's Ambition series. That would be pretty neat if true, but we'll see what these choices are closer to its release. Giant Zeus Golem attacking a castle. This isn't too surprising, both Sacred Stones and Awakening had human and monsters fighting together, but never do they show this so early on. It's usually a plot twist more than anything. That said, I highly doubt we'll be able to use or recruit said monsters in battle. Note the flags that are shown in the battlefield, white and blue. Again, it looks like there's some sort of dispute between several clans, which might be reflected in certain game mechanics. We'll come back to this picture later. Here we see what can be assumed to be a leader of one of the clans watching a performance by a dancer. Performances like this were fairly common during feudal Japan, so it's no surprise to see one here. The design of what this character is wearing seems fairly close to what you'd see for the dancer class, albeit more stylized. One neat thing you can actually see is the character's weapon reflected in their sprites. For example, you see this assassin? Ordinarily they would have a sprite wielding a sword. Here, they're wielding a bow. In fact, most of the sprites look like they've seen a slight redesign since Awakening. Note the bow and the sword. From the looks of what we see in a few seconds, it appears that there's a new weapon that's effective against bows. This is something we haven't seen in a while, a weapon that breaks the traditional weapons triangle. And here's one of the most interesting things to note in this trailer. Unlike Awakening, which cut to black between the map and battle, this one transitions from 2D to 3D seamlessly on the map. Neat! Also, the characters have feet this time! A bit stubby, but at least they're there. Looking at the walls of the corridor, it appears that the tile the player engages the enemy on will factor into what appears in the 3D environment. Here we see a slight change to the interface. Nothing too noticeable, but definitely different from Awakening. To the right of the Pegasus Knight looks to be the game's female dancer, most likely the character from earlier. Notice in the background that there are soldiers from the two sides fighting. We can assume that they'll look better in the final game, but they don't look too great here, especially with them all standing around. Still, it does make the battlefield seem larger than before. Also note the color. The side the player is fighting on has a blue flag, while the enemy is white, the same colors as the flags from earlier. Two characters, identically dressed in outfits that doesn't look like clothing worn by any of the classes from previous games. Possibly a new unit, but without seeing anything else of them in the trailer, it's impossible to know for sure. It appears the fellow on the left is our lord for the game, and what appears to be a Great Knight to his side. Beyond that, we can see the same pink haired unit from before on his side, so he's likely a part of the Blue Clan. Like previous Fire Emblem games, this lord figure appears to have their own unique weapon. Once again, protecting allies via teaming up is present like it was in Awakening. The unit attacking is likely a soldier unit, given their usage of a spear. And here we see what appears to be a new unit using a fan to cast an ice spell. Ice spells in general are pretty uncommon when it comes to Fire Emblem. It's difficult to see given the lighting, but the unit initiating a dual strike is wielding a new weapon. At first it looks like an axe, but upon closer inspection, it looks like a stick with a bell attached to it. The unit wielding it herself doesn't look like any unit we've seen before. This Dark Knight character is slaying a new monster unit. The weapon he's wielding also appears to be glowing red. Welcome to this distorted world. It's likely you'll visit this realm sometime during the game, though what it appears to be isn't clear. Maybe it's the future, maybe it's another dimension. We see a dragon that's dragging down a familiar woman while dissolving. This dragon's design doesn't look like any of the dragons we've seen before, be it Manakete or Dragon Lagoos. As far as my knowledge goes, this game is a completely new chapter in the Fire Emblem series, with no connections to previous titles, so this design makes sense. This glowing necklace seen here is likely going to be this game's Fire Emblem. Otherwise, I doubt they would linger on it. As for the woman wearing it, well, take a look at her in the one shown dancing earlier. It's likely that one is a reincarnation of the other. It's almost like Megami Tensei, which is funny because of the Japanese title, which I'll get to later. So my final shot are these two figures. We've seen the one on the right several times in this trailer, but this one on the left is new. The character is dancing in a similar fashion to the one we've seen on stage, suggesting that there's some reincarnation of the person or vice versa. And that's about it. No title for the game just yet in North America, but in the Japanese trailer, the name is revealed to be Fire Emblem If, which I really hope is changed for North America because that name is just so silly. So that's the debut trailer for the latest Fire Emblem game. What else is there to say? Oh yeah, where is Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem? I kid, of course. I'm just glad to see Nintendo is doing something with the series given that this year is its 25th anniversary, and that they're actually giving the series better advertising than they did before. That's all for now, folks. Until next time, game on, my friends.